Can you hear me? Ross.
Yes, sir.
We ain't live yet, man. I really still
Still,
gonna
it's
have.
live. It's live, boss.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Too much you need to see it. We looking at the little TV right there. We want to look at.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our monthly financial wellness ministry conversation. Want to thank everyone that has joined us, and I want to ask everyone that's on social media if you all can do me a favor and share the post. If you're on social media, if you can do me a favor and share the post, I would be greatly appreciative of that. And today we're having a conversation about wills, trust, and legacy planning. And so everyone that's on, if you can go ahead and share the post, I would be greatly appreciative. Share with your friends. If you'd like to come and be a part of the conversation, you can click the Zoom link that's pinned to the top of the comment section on social media. And I'm going to now place it in the hands of the coordinator of our financial wellness ministry, Kiera Ho.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the meeting today. This topic is extremely important. And the reason why is because when we are gone, we want to make sure that we're not causing chaos, but that we're leaving some instructions and just making things simple for our family members so that they don't have to worry about things or deal with problems that arise from not planning properly. So what I want to do today is to start off the session. I would like everybody to be prepared. You might want to take some notes. There's going to be an extremely educational video. It's about 10 minutes long, and it's going to talk about the difference of wills versus trusts. And then the video, it doesn't dig super deep into how you get it and where you get it. And so I'll share with you some info on that. There are resources to where you could get it done very affordably, at least a will. A trust is more expensive, but it's something that as you begin to grow your assets and you accumulate things like you own a home and you are accumulating money, that it's going to be something that you'll want to do to go ahead and get a trust, especially if you have children. You're definitely going to want to make sure that you have these things in place so that things could just be left in order. Because too many times I hear sad stories about people who didn't have these things, and then the struggle that the family members have to face when they go through court and probate and different things like that. So go ahead and pay attention. We're going to watch this short 10-minute video. I'm going to go over a couple of stories, examples, and ways that you can actually begin to take action on what we learn. And then we're going to open the floor for questions. With that being said, I am not a lawyer. I'm a financial professional. And so I'll answer these questions just to the best of my ability and based on how I've been able to help clients and resources I've been able to connect them with and what I've learned from friends who are lawyers and in this industry. But we'll go ahead and watch this video first. And I believe today is going to be really good in that we're going to have some testimonies of people who were able to take action and move forward into planning their legacy.
I am so proud of you for watching this video. 50% of Americans don't even have a will. There's a whole industry of courts and lawyers and paralegals and messes around the country because people don't even have a will. Now, I'm going to explain the difference between a will and a trust, when you need them, how much you should be paying for it, should you pay it all, what can you do on your own. I'm going to break it down and keep it tight. Now, I include an hour at least in my workshops on this topic. I've got chapters in some of my books on this topic. I've got webinars, podcasts, a lot of content. And on my website, I even have my tax and legal library with some lengthier videos on this. Now, why I say that is I'm going to hit the highlights, and I don't want you to be frustrated. I've got so much content that's either free or just a nominal cost to get more information on how to deal with this topic. I teach it to CPAs, I teach it to lawyers, and to many of you that are just trying to get your crap together, all right? So let's break it down, and I want to define the difference between the will and the trust, and really when you need to buckle down and get one or the other or both. Okay, now first, a will and a trust or both are part of what's called an estate plan, a package of documents. Maybe powers of attorney for healthcare, a living will, pull the plug if I'm a vegetable, I want to donate organs, I want to give certain property to certain people, funeral and burial instructions, blah, blah, blah. And it should go in a binder, and you want to keep that binder in your safe or somewhere in your home or in a safe deposit box for that fateful day when you pass on, so that people know where to get your stuff, where it goes and what to do with it. You really don't need to update these also except for maybe every 5 to 10 years, a major event happens. When your kids goes into rehab, you get divorced. I don't know, maybe hopefully something good too. You get married and you want to redo your estate plan. But once it's done, for many people, it's something you don't have to revisit all the time. And a will and a trust both do not have to be recorded with a state or a county. They're a private document. For my clients, even if they do it on their own, I want a copy of it. I want to have it in their file. And you want to have your godparents or your trustee or your executors to have a copy as well. So maybe with those initial statements, you can realize this is something that can be done affordably and maintained affordably, and you can update them when you have to. Okay, now here's what a will does real quick. It says who gets what. And again, I wish more Americans had at least the will. We'll talk about how to knock it out quickly, but who gets what? And then we're going to appoint an executor. This can also be called a personal representative. I'll just put executor, but sometimes a personal representative. And that's really, I joke about it. Don't be offended because I got to keep this topic light. No one likes to talk about death. They're the party planner. They're the ones that are going to handle the funeral, choose the flowers, choose the casket. Then you're going to have a guardian. And if you have children, that's who's going to raise the kids till they're age 18. And in all of our estate plans, we talk about the guardian for your pets. Who's going to take care of your pets, and you're going to leave them a few bucks to do it. So this is what a will does. Now, before we even get to this trust, everybody can at least have a will. Go online, just find a template somewhere. We don't even have a cost for this because it's so cheap and easy. We just tell clients, go figure it out. Usually you're going to get 2 witnesses and get it notarized, and that's going to comply in almost every state, which is called a holographic will. You do it yourself, and it's cool. Have at least this, make sure people have copies, and you're good to go. That's a will. It's not the best, but it's better than 50% of Americans. So if something happens to you, we know who gets what, who the executor is, and who the guardians are. Now, things get good with the trust. Now, I'd put just trust up here, but what we're talking about is a revocable living trust, RLT. A revocable living trust is something you create. You're the trustee. Maybe you're married. You and your spouse figure out a joint trust arrangement, and you're both co-trustees. You can change it anytime you want. It's revocable. There's no asset protection, but what you're doing is avoiding probate. See, even with a will, it's got to go through the court. And the court's a judge has got to bless it and go, this is really his or her will, and here's what we're going to do. But a trust says no probate. If everything's in the trust, it's kind of like the Bible of how you want everything split up and divided, and it's going to work with the will. So a lot of times there's a little pour over will that says, put everything in my trust. But there's no probate, and we're going to say who gets what, when, and how. And this is where you can really jack up your kids' lives or your beneficiaries' lives, and they call it dead hand control. You're just going to screw up people's lives from the grave and say who gets what, when, and how. And you can put all sorts of good rules on there. When we set up a trust for clients, we usually have 2 pages of ideas of just crazy things you can do to hopefully get your beneficiaries to do the right thing in life and not jack up the money. So you're going to get the when and the how, and you're going to get what's called a trustee. A trustee is the person that handles the money. They could be great with money, terrible with kids. They could be great with money and terrible at running the funeral. So you can have 3 different teams or 3 different people handling your estate. Now, why I love the trust is because you put all your assets into the trust to avoid that probate and also create privacy. Now, before I show you a visual of this, I just want to say a couple summary comments. I've just brushed the surface. Hopefully you're going to see down below ways to get a hold of our firm. You get a consultation with a real lawyer in any state across the country to help you design your estate plan. You shouldn't pay more than $400 or $500 to do a will, and you can do it on your own. When we do a revocable living trust for a single individual, we're around $800, married couple $1,200, a really advanced trust, maybe $1,500 to $1,800. That's it. Shop around. We do it all over the country, including Hawaii to Florida. I was going to say Miami, to New York, to New Hampshire, down to California. So everywhere in between. But find a legal professional, not just some hack or your CPA or some document preparer. Get a real lawyer that knows estate planning to design this, and then put it in the drawer, and you're done. And it's out of the way, and your stuff is now organized for your family so you don't screw up the family or lose it to the government or lawyers. Those are some general prices. This is not a sales pitch, but when you shop around, this is what you're looking for. And you can begin to, again, study more below so that you can go in with your eyes wide open when you interview people. But before I finish, just a quick visual. All right, now here's how this trust looks, because this is the master plan for all of my clients that I want to bring together. And if you've watched my videos, what we're going to try to do is bring together your plan with your trust. And this is usually your 1040 down here for tax planning. And whether you're married, filing joint, or single, and your trust is going to own your home. Your trust is going to be the beneficiary of life insurance. Your trust is also going to be the beneficiary of financial investment accounts, let's say, including IRAs, 401ks, and all that. And if some of you just had shudders go down your spine going, oh, you should never have a trust be the beneficiary of a retirement account. Yes, you can do it. It's called a see-through provision. And the laws changed in the last few years to make that possible in a very non-tax problematic way. So very good stuff. And then we're going to have your trust also own your LLCs that owns your rental properties. Finally, if you do have an operational company like an S Corp or another LLC over here somehow, I've got other videos on all this good stuff, your entities are going to be owned by your trust as well. Everything flows down into your trust. Now, again, there's not asset protection from a lawsuit. There's asset protection from your family screwing this up when you're gone. That's the goal. No probate, no lawyers, and it's all together in your trust. This is beautiful, and I want to make sure your trust doesn't have your name in it, because I want to try to create some privacy for when we record these assets and entities out in the public domain when necessary, and particularly it's going to be different with the type of asset and what state you're in. But we're going to have your trust be the owner of these assets without your name on it, so we get privacy. Now that's a quick summary on the will versus trust debate. Maybe some prices to think about, some topics to research. Really get to know what's going on here, and then choose a legal professional, a licensed legal professional to design it for you. And don't pay out the nose. Our fees are the same whether you're worth $100,000 or $10 million. And that's really what you should be looking for out there, is not some sort of value billing that, oh, we're going to add all this asset protection bells and whistles. Get a second opinion if there's a lot of promises there and a big price tag. You can even get a second opinion at our office, but learn the topic, be prepared, and it's going to help you with your privacy and peace of mind that all of your stuff is organized. Thanks so much for watching that video, and I want to be your source for tax and legal strategies. It's hard enough to live the American dream without being out on the web, on Google, trying to find answers to complex questions and just clicking a mouse, hoping you got it right. My team and I want to be a huge resource.
Hello, everybody. So this video was basically going over wills, trusts, what the differences are. I'm curious, does anybody have any questions after watching this video? And while you think of your questions, you're welcome to say them just out loud in the meeting, put it in the chat, and I'm even paying attention to Facebook. If anybody wants to, look on, if anybody wants to ask any questions on Facebook as well, I'm paying attention to that. So think about it like this. There are things that we have in life. We have personal, why am I losing my words right now? There's things that we own, and then there are things that we have responsibility for, or should I say people, like our children, that are in our care and our responsibility. And if something ever were to happen to us, there's two things that happen. One, either you have a plan laid out in a legal document, a will or trust, and you have both, right? Or two, you don't have that, and then the government, they go ahead with their plans that they have for you, because ultimately it will be decided what happens to our things and to our children when we're gone, whether we put that plan in place or it is put in place by the state of Florida for us. And so it's so important that we take control and we start to put some plans in action. So for myself, something I did is we got a question. Yes. What's your question? And what's your name and your question? Yes. Is this Byron? Yeah, I can hear you. Uh-oh, you went back mute again. Let me unmute you.
Oh,
I
can you hear me
you
now?
Yes, I can hear you
Okay,
now.
I got a question. Now, when I go in the hospital, and the first thing that people ask me, say, you got a living will. And I say, no, we can do one here. Cause in this one here, I guess it's free because they never said anything about money, but what is that? Because what is this? Is if I don't make it out of here and die, that they'll be notified, or at that living will that I fill out then, do they honor that when I die? The one at the hospital, like, what do I put on that one? I'm saying, because I always tell them, yeah, just fill out paper. I never read it, just in case I don't make it out. What do that cover? I'm saying, do that leave something that do I fill it out and say, well, leave my children this or whatever, and there's no price on that one. What is that living will?
So from my understanding, the one that you get at the hospital, and I could be wrong about this, but I think that one is most likely like possibly kind of who. I'm sorry, my kids are fussing in the background. But I think that one might be more kind of like a power of attorney, or basically if something were to happen to you and you were incapable of making a decision about what you want to happen, like should the plug be pulled or kind of how to handle your medical affairs, if for whatever reason you couldn't vouch for yourself anymore, I believe that hospital one allows you to give permission, whether you go and put your spouse names or whatever family member name or friend. It basically gives someone permission to be able to vouch for you when you can't vouch for yourself.
Oh,
Is that
so
how you remember it, where you kind of had to pick a person and then like sign off on it?
Yeah, because I'm trying to think if that's a will, a dying will. Like,
That's more
I really, they never
That's
know,
more
just
like
man.
a living
those are,
will.
yeah, those
I
are
think.
just directives. When if you are unable to respond or unable to make a decision, in the midst of whatever the medical procedure is, if something goes to a place to where you can't make a decision, you're giving directives to the hospital and giving directives for people to have permission to make those decisions for you. But that's not dealing with property or assets or anything like that. But that's just people making decisions concerning how the hospital should respond in their treatment. If you're
I
not able
kind of
to
thought that. Okay.
Yeah, I could not think of the name, but that's exactly living directive. So that is helpful in a sense, but the other question becomes, well, what if, like, for example, what if something were to happen to you, right? And that kind of gives some control over, at least at the hospital, so somebody can make a decision. But what if you don't die, but you are incapable of carrying on your affairs? Imagine that you're the only one who has access to your bank account and nobody else is allowed to, but your bills still need to be paid and things still need to go on for you.
Yeah.
So it's in that situation where it becomes so important that we have a living will, a power of attorney, and we have these things in place to allow things to be able to move forward. Because when we don't, that's when the chaos happens, like foreclosures and repossessions and families fighting and back and forth in the court and people losing a lot of stuff when we don't have those things. And for me, being young and having a young family and just kind of getting started in life, when I created my will, some of the key things, I don't really have that much stuff that I own, but one of the biggest things for me was, if something were to ever happen to me and my husband, I want a say so in who can raise my kids. I don't want the court to decide who raises my kids. And so that was a pretty big deal. And something I want to point out that's pretty cool about a trust that is different from a will is the trust, it gives you more control. So for example, let's say that you have $1 million life insurance policy, but your kids are really young and you don't have somebody that you trust to manage that $1 million for your children. if you have a trust, you can literally set up the trust to where when you pass away, your hold on, give me just a second. But sorry, I got sidetracked. All my kids decided to get out the bed and come out here. But let's say you have this $1 million. If you have it in a trust, in your trust, you can dictate what funds the money goes in. Let's say you don't want to just sit in a bank account because, for example, if you had $1 million and you had it in a fund earning 5% interest, if I'm doing my math right, that's $50,000 a year that $1 million would earn. So you wouldn't want it to just sit there. You would want to create some plans for it so that the money isn't wasted, blown away, and so that it is doing what it needs to do for your family. So if you have a trust, you could direct where the money goes, you could direct how much comes out. So if you're worried that, man, I got this big chunk of money, but I don't want a family member to blow it or them to use it in a bad way, or you build up this wealth and you want to make sure your family keeps the wealth going, you can put exactly, well, this much will be released per year. Like you really have like control over the details. Now trust is a lot more expensive. I know when I was doing my research, I was seeing about $1,500 was the amount to be able to pay for that and get a trust put together for you. But that trust, it just gives you so much more control. And it gives you just more say so in what happens afterwards, especially if you've established wealth and you got some things going and you want to make sure that the wealth keeps going for your family and that it isn't blown away or wasted quickly. And Ms. Bonita said, is my understanding that the living directive can also be included in the trust as well? Yes. And you, within your trust, imagine, so your trust has these trustees and you can like put everything in it. You could put in it your setup for who owns your home, how finances are managed. Your will helps to share who you want the guardian to be, but it gives you some flexibility and more so control.
Kiara.
Yeah, I'm still here. And you're not, I'm gonna put my video off, but I'm still here.
Okay. When you were saying something about 1,500, my question is, and this is a real question. Will you get one standard price on a will, or is it something like insurance where you got to pay for it until you die? Like, do they have like a living will? Say a living will costs one standard price of $2,500. Once you pay that, it ride with you till you're dead. I'm saying, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Is it a policy form, or do you have to just keep paying and paying?
You pay once to set it up and it's done.
Oh, okay.
And
So
now over time, let's say you have like some major life changes, you get married or you have a kid and you might want to make an adjustment with it, then you would pay at that time that you want that adjustment done. But it's not like life insurance where you pay month by month.
oh, okay.
You know, one thing that I did as it relates to cost to try to be helpful, the last church I pastored in St. Augustine at St. Paul, just because I was just seeing so many people to where the time for the funeral, bereave and everything else, the stress that was added to it when things were not in order. And I mean, we lived in our church was in an area to where gentrification just got totally gentrified, a Black neighborhood but a lot of the properties got caught up in probate because things were not in order. And people just, end up losing properties. And so one thing that I did, and which was, it sounds a little funny, but it was legal because, it's a document that you're paying for. And so like, it's not a reoccurring thing, not a monthly thing. It's a document that's being produced by somebody that has the expertise to produce it. And so one thing that I did so it could be really affordable, I signed up as a agent to sell this thing. It's called Legal Shield. And so one of the benefits of it is that you could have wills done and living wills done and power of attorney and all that stuff. And then all I did was tell my people, because it was a monthly fee, like a $19.95 a month. And so I just told my people, I said, hey, sign up, get your will done, and then you can discontinue, because it wasn't a commitment. It was a month-to-month commitment, and you could cancel. But what they're dependent on is that you just keep paying it, and then is never think about it. And if you need other legal assistance, like letters written to the courts or representation in other areas, that you would do it. But there was nothing in there saying that, that you couldn't, you had to stick in there for so long, for a certain period of time. And so I would just tell my people, hey, just sign up, get the will done. If you want to keep the service, keep the service. If not, discontinue it, but at least get that will done, so that piece is in order. And now that didn't go as far as the trust, but it took care of step one. And so we had a lot of people that signed up for that, got that document. You put that document in a safe place, and then you have another one that's at the attorney's office, and that was a piece that I did to encourage people, to where you didn't have to pay the $400, $500, $600 to have that document done.
Yes, and I have the Legal Shield, and that's how I got my will done. I paid a small fee, and within my first month, I got that done, and that was like super easy, super cheap. It was cheaper than me going to like Chick-fil-A with my whole family. And so that's really powerful. And now I've kept mine since. So I've had my membership for the last 3 years, and it's just really helpful to be able to have access and talk to lawyers and stuff. So I think it's a great thing just to keep. If you're ever sued, you have a defense attorney and like a certain amount of hours for court. So that's really helpful. You can't sue anybody with it, but it's a protection for if somebody tries to sue you. But something I want to point out is I actually called legal. So I called the lawyer and I asked them if I needed a trust. And they actually told me that I don't need one because of my specific situation. I didn't really have any assets yet. And so what I did is I just have my will, and I have all my beneficiaries designated for all of the different accounts, like my investment accounts and all that stuff. I just have my beneficiaries designated, and I have it written out in my will as well. Since I don't own a lot of stuff. But here's an example of somebody who might need a trust. Let's say you have a life insurance policy, and maybe you even own a home too. Or let's say you just only have life insurance. You don't have that much stuff and just some money. And you have small kids, and you don't have anybody that you're comfortable with leaving that money to, and your kids are too young for them to be able to have access to use the money, and you don't want the court to kind of appoint a financial guardian. A trust would be great for you because then you can control exactly how that money is spent, where it goes, where it's put. It just gives you that control, especially when you don't have anybody that you're comfortable with, that you trust to do what you've left or asked them to do. And so the trust allows you to not have to be in that position where you don't have anybody that you don't trust and you don't know what to do. It gives you that control.
Yeah, I wondered, is there anybody on here that knows, because he mentioned, we know that there still has to be, even when you have a will done, it still has to go before a court, but it's not going to be an extended or probate period that it has to go through. Has anyone in here been involved with when you actually had a will done, and how quick that process goes? Does the judge just kind of look at some things and say, okay, yes, this is valid, and then it's approved, or is it a little bit more intense than that?
That is a really good question, because I know I don't have any experience, and I'm not sure what that's like where you have the will and you go to court. So I would love to know if anybody on Facebook, if you're watching this and you have that experience, please share with us.
Benita Smart unmuted herself. She might have an answer.
Yeah, I was gonna say is I would think, and I haven't experienced it. I've known some issues. One in particular, when I was working for the FAA, when this gentleman actually had his life insurance, but he never, and he was divorced from his wife, but he never changed the beneficiary. And so it went to the ex-wife versus the new wife. But I would say, to your question, Reverend Ron, if someone contested the will, then it will be a long, drawn-out process versus, everything going smoothly.
Okay. And then I guess that's where the trust would maybe avoid any kind of contesting.
Yes, I actually had a trust in Atlanta when I lived there, and I'm looking for a firm here now. I was going to ask here, does she have any suggestions or anybody know of anyone that I've been online, but nobody that looks like us that
I
I've
have
seen.
2 recommendations that look like us.
Okay, all right.
My first recommendation is Itasca.
Okay, let me
And let me see if the name of her, the name of her business is Itasca Legal PLLC. She's a attorney here in Gainesville. And
how do you spell that? ITA?
SCA. Itasca Legal PLLC. And then the other attorney, Bonita, if you can message me your email, because this other attorney, she's helped multiple clients.
Mhm.
Her and Itasca have helped multiple clients with trust and different things. But
Mhm.
Judy, I cannot remember her last name, but Judy, she helps a lot of people here in Gainesville, but she actually lives in Jacksonville. But if
Okay.
you give me your email, I will get Judy's info for you, because she's helped multiple clients. Because as a financial professional, we're dealing with life insurance and retirement and different things like that. And Judy, she's come into the office at Heritage Wealth Management, and she's, helped and created trust for different clients. So, and she's great. She's helped a lot of clients. But I cannot remember, my mind is going blank on her last name right now, and I'm not in front of my information with like her business card and everything. So I gotta, perfect. I see your email. And man, I'll comment it on the post too, but I'll make sure to personally get that to you right away. Like I'll email you tonight with
Okay.
that info.
And then
Thank you.
I think that lines up with the scripture, where scripture tells us to get our house in order. And
Yes.
it's because there's a family that I was working with in St. Augustine. They actually wanted me to help for social justice issues that literally grew out of the family not agreeing on what the will looked like, and ended up what happening. And I mean, you had a situation to where a person had over $800,000 in assets, and because the family got caught up in a contested and not a real clear will situation, the court appointed an attorney to kind of to deal with the financial issues, and until they got it all worked out. And that attorney literally ate up. I mean, it wasn't even worked out at the time when they came to me, but that attorney had already eaten through about $200,000 of it. And it was the family going against one another, and the attorney was the only one getting fed. And so this person had left this money for their family, but because things were not easily, I guess things were not in order, what he did leave for his family was getting eaten up by a court-appointed attorney. And so I'm sure that was not the plan of that person that worked so hard to leave a legacy for their family.
Yeah, not at all. There was an actor. He's in the movie Black Panthers, young guy. He was like the main character.
Yeah.
He passed away without a will.
Right.
And so did Prince.
Oh, Jesus. So when I see these like just successful Black people, had opportunity and made money, and don't have those things in order, it really breaks my heart. And so that's why tonight I thought, man, each of us, like all of us, we can benefit off of this. And all of us, you know, we can make a decision, just like my dad was saying, almost what, $20 a month. And really you cancel it. You don't even have to keep it. So you can at least get your will done. And then you could be in a position where you start saving some money. And then get that trust done eventually. So that you have those documents prepared for you, and you're creating a legacy, and you're leaving your family in a situation. Because unfortunately, there are people who will show up that didn't have nothing to do with you while you was living, but they'll show up for what you left behind that are related to you. So you want to make sure you leave your stuff to who you want to leave it to. But the only way you can control that is if you get that will and trust done.
Right, and it's so important because it's just, I mean, it's just trauma being added. You got the trauma of a loss, and then now you have all the anxiety that comes with you not having your affairs in order, and so it just adds more trauma to the family. In many instances, I mean, I've seen it time and time again that it just tears the family apart, and then and it's not jabbing. But you don't want to be in a situation to where you got to create a GoFundMe account, to do something as simple as paying for a burial, when you die. And I think, we have to really, be responsible as people, and to make sure that we don't put that type of trauma or that type of weight on our family members. Because it can create you have people that fall out, and so the funeral or the death might have been 20 years ago, but all of the fallout that happened because things were not in order, it could really damage a family and the legacy. And it's something that you can get around. Like I say, you can pay the $4, $5, $6, $7, $1,500, whatever. Whatever you want to pay to get it done, or you can that easy route that I was saying. Hey, go and sign up. It's not. It sounds shady, but it's totally legal. Go and sign up for a company that's hoping that you'll commit long term, but will produce the documents for you based on a monthly fee like that Legal Shield. Pay your $19.95, get it done, and then if you want to, don't want any more, step out. They probably won't be telling you that, but hey, you get the document, and you're out, and you've done nothing illegal, but now you've gotten your affairs in order. And then I even like what he said about going a step further, with the trust, so that there's the potential to get hung up in probate is not even there. So like what Benita Smart was saying, was that if you've been divorced before, there's some things going on, you was a rolling stone, and you got some extra ones, go ahead and maybe get a trust so you can be real clear, so it doesn't get hung up in probate, and what you work so hard for gets eaten up by the legal experts.
Yeah, and the
One
trust
thing-
really does. Oh, you can go, Benita.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you need the trust has to align with your beneficiaries. So if the trust says one thing and the beneficiary says another, guess what? The beneficiary on the account probably will overrule the trust in that case. So they have to be
Yes.
similar. They have to line up. Because in setting up my trust in Atlanta, all the beneficiaries had to be consistent with what the trust indicated.
You are 100% correct. Me and you were on the same page, Renita. I was just thinking about the beneficiaries as well. And something that you could do to simplify everything is once you have your trust set up, you actually can make your trust the beneficiary of everything. So your trust could be the beneficiary of your bank account, your 401k, your life insurance. Like you literally can switch over to where your trust becomes the beneficiary of every single thing. Let's say you own multiple businesses and your businesses own property. You literally could put the trust is the beneficiary for everything. And then from there, your trust dictates who gets your trust then is set up in a way to where it flows if you want it evenly dispersed between multiple people. And then your trust even can have backup upon backups. So your trust could have, well, it will go to this child. Well, what if that child has passed away too? And then it will go to this child's child. And you like, it could really be really comprehensive. And then the lawyer, they cover all that. And they ask you the right questions, and they help really to dig to create a document that truly protects you and simplifies your life, or the life for your family and friends, because you'll be gone.
Yeah,
Yes,
when I
and
did mine, it was things that I didn't even think of, but on that questionnaire, I mean, that questionnaire pulls things out that you didn't, oh, I didn't even think about that right there. And so it's that process is helpful to make sure you connect with someone that's an expert in it, that can help you make sure you include things that you might not even thought of, because there are some people that try to do a handwritten one, and sometimes those, based on the state that you live, those don't really hold water. And so it is important to get someone and pay the money so that you make sure it's done right.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be worth it. Benita, did you say how much it costs? How much, or if you don't have to share it at all, but is anybody?
no, it was
Yeah.
$2,000 is what, when I did it there. But like I said, it's emotionally draining. I found it to be that way, because you're thinking about stuff, and I was, naming my trustees. I was single at the time. And so it's my nieces and nephews, and I was calling them, and you got to get their social security numbers and all that stuff. And it's a lot of work, but it's worth it in the long run. And all of them, at the point, they were asking my sisters and brothers, is Auntie okay? No, I was just trying to get my stuff in order. But because it was just me, and I don't have kids. So I was trying to get everything in order, just because. And we did it out at our church. It was a similar program to this one, just talking about finances in general, the things that we as a people don't normally talk about, that we need to. And thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I've heard so many stories that just hurt me. Like, I heard a story of someone who was living with their grandparent, and their grandparent had made it clear that, that they wanted them to live in that house. And so they were taking care of the grandparent. They were really the only person there. And then after that grandparent passed away, a family member from like 10 states over showed up, who nobody had heard anything from, took everything to court, and then that person actually ended up homeless, because the person who showed up ended up, taking the house, and they went through a whole court process. Well, they didn't end up homeless. They had to go and, get a new home. But those stories just break my heart, though, because I'm like, man.
Yeah, I've had to have a conversation.
Sucks.
I've had to have a conversation with, it's just unfortunate, as a pastor, a Black pastor, you just have to have all these conversations like this. And I know that there was a guy that, just an older guy, and the family did the kind of story that you were saying, that there was a miscommunication. There was something the verbal was saying, but it doesn't mean anything when it comes to the courts. And then, so they had these properties, and they still have this one. And I had to literally, when I saw how much they were losing, what was happening, because had been hung up in probate for like 15 years. And the guy was telling me about it. I was like, can I just, as a pastor, can I call your sister? And it was three siblings. I was like, can I call your siblings and you, and can we just like kind of sit down and talk? Because y'all are just like, there was one house that, because nobody could get ownership of it, the house was literally worth nothing anymore. The roof had caved in, it was just neglected. And I was like, can I just call each one of y'all, because y'all are just throwing away money. And so I literally had to call each one and get them to trust me to help facilitate the process, because the attorney wasn't motivated to get it solved for whatever reasons. And they all had different attorneys. And so in having a conversation with each one of them, we were able to come to terms and work it out to where, and the whole issue was there was this one additional, child that nobody wanted to, say that the dad had anything to do with, but legally that was a child. And so do y'all want to just get caught up in this all together, or do y'all just want to go ahead and go 25, 25, 25? And just a conversation between a spiritual leader to try to bring, minds together, because they were losing so much more over, not willing to admit something that a birth certificate said was true. And but when you get your affairs in order, you don't have to have people to come in and try to do these things, and you've lost so much of what you work so hard for. And so we really need to be serious in our community about being prepared. I'm not that I'm ready to die, but I'm prepared to die without leaving so much stress on my family.
Yeah. So as a takeaway, I really want to challenge you. If you're watching on live or you're on the Zoom and you don't have a will, I want to challenge you to get one. Get that legalship membership and get that will done. It will be less than you going out to eat one time this month. And it'll be worth it, because once you do it, things in life will change, but it'll just be something that's taken care of. And it'll give you, I know for me, I felt really good once I got it done. And then I sat with the notaries at my bank, and they notarized it all for me. And it just felt so good to get that taken care of. So I want to challenge you to get that done. And then with the trust, I want to challenge you to at least get a consultation. I'm not necessarily going to challenge everybody to get a trust done, because everybody's situation is different and everybody may not need to spend that money just yet on a trust. But I want to challenge you to at least start looking into it, maybe reach out to a lawyer, or, just learn a little bit more. Or if you get the legalship membership and you get the will done during that month, you can also talk to the lawyers too. Talk to the lawyers and ask them, like, hey, should I get a trust? And they'll give you some advice, and you'll be able to share with them about your financial situation. They'll ask you some questions, and then you'll be able to get some guidance from a lawyer on whether or not you're ready for a trust, or if that's something that's necessary for you. So that's my challenge. Daddy, are you still active? Are you still able to do the Legal Shield memberships for people?
Yeah, I don't really promote it, but yeah, I am. It's just a link that you can go on, but you don't have to do it with me. But if somebody just wanted my link, they can go and do it. I just really did it so that my members could get some things in order at a very affordable price. I didn't really do it to make money. And so I don't necessarily want to put it out there like I'm trying to make money, but if somebody wanted my link to do it, just send me a message and I'll send you the link. But you don't have to go through me.
Yeah. So, you could Google, or you could look at my dad's link, or maybe you have a family or friend you already know who does Legal Shield, or they're with a company that partners with Legal Shield. Go ahead and reach out to them and get that taken care of. And I really believe that you'll feel good about yourself, because it just feels good to get stuff taken care of and get stuff in order and get it done when it comes to planning our legacy. So,
but I do have it. I guess since you asked, so and I'm not pushing it, but just to make it simple for somebody, my website is ronross.com, and one of the tabs on there says Legal Shield, and so if you just go there, you can do it. But again, I do it so that my members and people in the community that I know can avoid all the issues I've seen at funerals. Yeah, but if you go to ronross.com and you click the tab that says Legal Shield, it says wills and well, let me see what it says. It says on the tab that says wills and living wills preparation.
Yeah. Yeah, so there you have it. Super simple, super easy, and there's no obligation or commitment or contract with the leadership membership. So but yeah, this is a good one tonight. Share with your family and friends, spread the word about how important it is to go ahead and get that will done. And let's continue moving forward, growing. I appreciate you all for hopping on tonight just to learn and talk about financial situations. Even if you already knew this, I know for me, just having that discussion once a month about finances is a steady reminder, kind of the scripture about renew your mind. This constantly renews my mind of the importance of legacy, and it renews my mind about having good stewardship over my finances, and it renews my mind and it encourages me to continue moving forward to create a legacy for my family. In Proverbs, there's a scripture that says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So let's work hard to just do our best and to help the next generation have a step up. Let's help to lift up the next generation and create a brighter future for our future. So it is almost 8 p.m. Are there any final comments or questions before we end the Zoom tonight? All right, looks like there are not. So for those of you who are watching, or you come back and you're watching the replay, if you go to gbgville.com, you can join the community where we're able to have conversations about financial wellness. We do have a financial wellness community on gbgville.com. So GB stands for Greater Bethel. So gbgville.com. And on the fourth Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m., you can expect us to bring conversations to help create financial wellness for those who are a part of our ministry, and those who are in the community, and for those who fellowship and connect with us. So I just pray blessings over you all. I pray that you have a wonderful night. I pray that God will just continue to provide and bless you. And I pray that you would increase financially. And I pray that you would just progress and move forward, and even share with others the things that you learn when you come to the financial wellness meetings.
All right, y'all have a great one.
Good night.